SCORE is going to be a task force dominated by Southern legislators who will have a listening tour between now and the start of the session, where they can go out into the communities that they serve and to see what type of initiatives may be available to help to bring economic opportunity to their distressed regions. As you know, we've been under a great deal of pressure, particularly in the southern coal fields, due to the downturn in the coal industry based upon the things that are going on in Washington with the EPA. But as a state, I don't think that we can sit back and wait for it to unravel in Washington. We need to look and see what we can do as state legislators representing our communities to try to bring economic development, diversification, and initiatives back to our region and create jobs and opportunities for our people. SCORE is an acronym, I guess, for the term Southern Coalfields Organizing and Revitalizing Their Economy. And I think that's what it needs to be completely about. This is modeled to some degree what they've done in eastern Kentucky. As you know, they've had several of the exact same. Senator Chafin probably knows, being close to that area as well, that they've had a great deal of the same type of stresses that we're seeing here in the southern part of our state, particularly in the coal fields. And so I'm hopeful that by having this listening tour and having my senators go out in their communities and to try to formulate a plan of action, of aggressive initiatives that we can implement when we come back in session in January, that we can work with the governor and with our colleagues across the House to hopefully do some positive change in initiatives. One of the things that occurred to me just a couple of weeks ago as I was meeting with some folks from the tourism industry, and they mentioned to me that the whitewater rafting that we all think is a huge opportunity in our state, in those regions that have it down in Fayette and other areas of the state, they tell me that they've dropped off about 50% in their last couple of years just because, and they directly attribute it to the lack of aggressive marketing monies and advertising dollars that they've lost through some of the cutbacks we've had to endure as a state. So I've always been of the philosophy that if you have a garden that's growing, you got to keep watering it, and you can't cut off the water supply. So we need to continue to work at initiatives that I think that can help our state and our economy, whether it's in agribusiness. I know Senator Miller is very involved. He's changed the Agriculture Committee and changed it to rural development. There are initiatives that we can do with wineries. And I'm happy to announce that Senator Green will be a co-chair. He's the former chair of the Energy, Industry, and Mining Committee, closely aligned with that industry. He's also knows the challenges that are facing in his community due to some of the economic downturns, and also Senator Kirkendoll as well, the other co-chair from the second and third leading coal producing counties in the state, being Boone and Logan. And I think quite frankly, folks may say, well, what do you know about the coal fields of southern West Virginia? And I said, not as much, but these guys do. But I do know a little bit about coal because I do happen to represent the leading coal producing county in the state, and that's Marshall. And I've seen distresses in industries that have occurred, particularly most recently in the steel industry up in my neck of the woods when we had the closure of all the Wheeling Steel and Weirton Steel, which used to be the two largest employers in our state. And I want to make sure that we're being proactive and looking at opportunities as we move forward as a state. And with that, Senator Kirkendoll, you have anything to add?
I do. Mr. President, I appreciate the opportunity to be co-chair of this select group, but for West Virginia and for my area, I want to make it perfectly clear that my main concern is still coal. Serving on the Southern States Energy Board, we're going to have a 30 to 50% more demand for fossil fuels in the next 20 years. Germany has just literally says we want coal. We got to find a way to get back on the market and produce the coal that we have. My county alone, and Boone County, has almost 3 billion tons of reserves left. We're two of the largest reserve areas in the state. Everybody says it's market driven, and a lot of it is. But we got to work to promote coal, and I actually had a bill that was a tax credit to use 5 million more West Virginia tons of coal in our own coal-fired power plants. And I'd like to reintroduce that thing next year. It's a $15 million tax thing that I think would create $100 million worth of economic activity and put hundreds of coal miners back to work. We burn 34 million ton of coal in our coal-fired power plants. Only 19 is West Virginia coal, and we mined 119 million. So we got to get that equation properly. Well, I brought the players in to find out why. Well, Public Service Commission says you use the cheapest coal you can. There was a $3 difference between Pennsylvania coal and West Virginia coal, so I wanted to close that gap and find a way to put people back to work. You know, not only coal jobs, but the auxiliary jobs that would produce and the sales and service of the materials it would take to do that is overwhelming. I will continue to fight for coal. I've been doing it since the 90s. I had a coal mines in my area shut down called Daltex back in 98. $29 million direct payroll taxes, 400 and some 35 to 40-year-old people lost their jobs. We never recovered. My coal severance allocations on a quarter ran about $450,000. That one quarter, as a commissioner, I had to work with $72,000. That money was for libraries, enhancing kids, community projects, and everything else that we did on a county level. But I do have some ideas. I've said all along, and I've worked with people down. We have some very talented people in the coal fields, and I'll tell you why. They work in coal-related job shops. They know how to run these machines. Why can't we, once this group gets together, meet with our congressional delegation, because it would have to have federal support, and have a contract with one of the armed forces, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and have quality jobs, $12 or $15 an hour with health care, as auxiliary backup jobs to the coal companies and the coal miners, and what we do. Tourism. I'm very entwined with Hatfield-McCoy. We're working now to clean up the Guyandotte River, where we can have boats in that river to expose Hatfield-McCoy. When you come in, not only can you ride the trails, you can fish in our rivers, and you can ride these boats. West Virginia has to expose their tourism. We got a little bit tight on tourism money. This committee needs to sit down with these people and find a way to. Michigan was one state that couldn't get anybody to come and see them. They started advertising, and now they're one of the blossoming states in America for tourism, because they showed everybody what they have. I still believe that we're hidden to a lot of the world on exactly how good this state is. So I'm going to work diligently with these people. Coal will be my #1 market to put people back to work, their quality jobs, but auxiliary jobs to help people. Healthcare. I've asked for a healthcare study. I think we're working on numbers instead of need to uplift our healthcare system, not only in southern West Virginia, but everywhere else. These are quality jobs. These jobs are out there. We got to find a way to be smarter, quicker, and better than everybody else. And I believe this select group here will really do a good job once we listen and bring recommendations back to our legislative bodies. So with that, I promise you I will give you a full service as a leader and as a senator to try to enhance West Virginia, not only southern West Virginia, but all of West Virginia. Thank you.
Senator Green.
Thank you all for being here today. I want to first commend President Kessler for his vision in putting together this bipartisan group of legislators, senators throughout not only southern West Virginia, but also other parts of the area who do represent coal industry. And all I want to say is that over the past 30 years or longer, southern West Virginia has carried its weight. We have funded the state's coffers. We have done so much to make sure that the state of West Virginia is able to operate in not only West Virginia's wealth, but this nation's wealth and security. The coal industry has been the strong suit that has carried this state. And I just want to say that how impressed I am that we are now going to be listening to southern West Virginia. We're going to be listening to what we can do and what we should be doing to diversify our economy. I can tell you in my home county of Raleigh County, we have a proposed mega site. It's a 2,500 acre proposal incidental coal removing site where we're hoping to bring in significant development. It literally will be a game changer for southern West Virginia, not only Raleigh County, but all the surrounding counties. We're talking about, with the 4C economic development area there in Raleigh County, Nicholas, Fayette, Summers, is we're talking about bringing large-scale operations in, not the industrial parks that we have now, but significant, where we have Boeing come in, where we have large manufacturing come back in and reinvest in southern West Virginia. We have the greatest workforce, and I truly believe that when we look at the opportunities with New River Community and Technical College and their footprint in Raleigh County and in Greenbrier County, all through Nicholas County, we have to make sure we have a trained workforce for when we do get these initiatives in place, that we have those trained, skilled workers that are available. And again, I just want to say that President Kessler, thank you for the vision vision to see that Southern West Virginia is struggling. We're fighting the EPA regulations. We're fighting a decline in markets. It's not just the regulations. It's not just market demand. But when you look at the potential in Southern West Virginia, coal, I hope in my lifetime, remains the #1 issue for Southern West Virginia, but we have to look outside the box, look at diversification, bring some manufacturing back into Southern West Virginia. And I'll just say this before I close. Wyoming County, 5 years ago, was the largest producer of coal bed methane. It generated millions of dollars for Wyoming County. Those tax credits ran out. The industry left. There is potential for coal bed methane back in Wyoming County, back in McDowell County, and those are some of the things we're going to look at. We're going to look at those initiatives to where we can incentivize the Dominions, the EQTs, those companies to reinvest back in Southern West Virginia, because Southern West Virginia has given so much to the state of West Virginia. So again, thank you all for being here, and we look forward to working with you over the next few months.
Senator Chafin, would you like to, as a senior senator from the South, would you like to say a few words?
I appreciate it. I'm just here to support you.
But there are opportunities. Senator Stollings, I know he's been someone who's been very aggressive and outspoken in trying to improve the quality of life in his district and all of Southern West Virginia and the entirety of the state.
Thank you. Well, Mr. President, again, I thank you for providing the leadership and bringing this outstanding group of people together. We have already some good things going on in Southern West Virginia. We have the Office of Coalfield Development, Corridor G Regional Economic Development Authority Board of Directors, Hatfield-McCoy Trail. So we have a lot of things, but I really think that this focus that we're really trying to bring to bear here will help really go to the next step. And that next step, of course, involves infrastructure. We have Corridor G, Route 119, down in the southwest coalfields. We have, obviously, interstates over in Raleigh County and on into the southern part of that part of the state. What we now have, which was probably one of our biggest problems in the past, was developable land. We are topographically challenged, as we all know. And now we have these vast areas of land that are now ripe for development. Post-mine land use, I think, is really going to be our ticket to diversification. So the next time we're looking for a site for 200 acres, let's say we have that site with infrastructure to it. This body passed about 3 years ago to give more coal severance tax back to the mineral-rich counties. That has been phased in. We're in year 3 now. I call that the Economic Diversification Fund, because that's exactly what that money has to be used for. So I'm optimistic. We have a lot of grassroots people in the room now that are working hard for our future. We have some social ills that we need to fight and correct. We need to really get a healthier population that starts prenatal, early childhood, that Senator Plymale is passionate about. Again, these healthcare jobs are jobs that really pay well. We have to get a healthier population. And again, folks, the great equalizer is education. You've already heard about our community college system, our K through 12. Those are things that we have to enhance, and then as far as the social ills, as far as our substance abuse issues down south, we have to have community rehabilitation and things like that. So focus on the issue. Strategic planning, of course, is so important, and I'm glad to be a part of this, and I think you have 2 great leaders here as far as co-chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Plymale, I see has come as well, and obviously with his chair of the Education Committee and his background in transportation and home of Wayne County, where they've got the Pritchard Intermodal Transportation Facility, which is a huge opportunity. Would you like to share a few comments?
Yeah. Obviously, education is key, and we've got to make sure that an educated workforce, the education opportunities, a collaborative between our community college system as we start looking at the training. Early childhood, I think Senator Stollings, but it's the early care side of this that's as equally important as the early childhood. And what we start doing with the governor's report that's getting ready to come out, I think that's very important that we look at those priorities and act on those priorities. And let me focus on some things that Senator Stollings has said. I think that we've got to collectively work to get some of the roads in our areas on the statewide improvement plan, the STIP plan. You know, if you're not funded or on that plan, or if you're not on that plan in this next 6 years, you won't get a road. You don't even can think about it. You just can dream about it. You have to do that. I-73, 74 has to be a priority. Some call it King Coal Highway, some call it this, but you have to call it I-73, 74 to get the impact between Canova, Huntington, and Bluefield. That is vitally important. We've got to be able to do what Mingo County has been doing through the Redevelopment Authority. If you want to look at the template for what the best venue is and the best avenue and the best plan, the Mingo Redevelopment Authority under Mike Witt that unfortunately passed away, and what Steve Komenar has done, that is the template for a lot of what Southern West Virginia needs to be doing in terms of transportation and economic development. So I look forward to this. I think we've got a great group of people here. One thing I've learned through 22 years of being here is when an area is dysfunctional, you've got to find function in that. And let me talk about that. Washington's dysfunctional right now when we look at transportation planning and different things like this and transportation dollars. We've got to come up with money for that. We've got to make sure that we are providing the economic development opportunities we need to, and we've got to also, in some cases, manufacture flat land to be able to do development. Now, I'll end on Pritchard Intermodal Facility. This is the best unkept secret that hasn't been promoted as much by the Department of Commerce as it should be. This will provide one of the greatest diversity issues in terms of economic development for our area. It's the first intermodal facility that will be put in the state of West Virginia, and the sky's the limit on where it can go. So I look forward to working with this group, and I think we collectively, under the President's leadership and the co-chairs, we can get where we need to.
Laird, do you have anything you'd like to offer?
Thank you. I, too, would like to thank and congratulate President Kessler for his leadership and vision in bringing this group together, and I look forward to working with my colleagues, Senator Kirkendoll and Senator Green, as we approach this. I have, again, a lifelong resident of Fayette County. I've certainly understand the importance and have always stood strong on coal and understand coal is an important driver in our state's economy and has always been and should always continue as such. But in Fayette County, I think we're an example of an economy that entered into a phase of transition. A fellow by the name of John Dragan came to Fayette County in the late 1960s and actually said, hey, we can develop commercial whitewater rafting on the beautiful New River. There's not only coal in our hills, there's great beauty in our hills, and certainly I think the growth of the tourism economy. This coming weekend, we're going to have tens of thousands of people coming to Fayette County to jump off a perfectly good bridge. And again, with the location of the Boy Scouts National Jamboree Center, 10,600 contiguous acres that I think we were able to compete nationally based on the beauty inherent in our county. So we've recognized certainly over the years some of the advantages and beginning to take those steps towards economic diversification. But you know, our communities are in a posture of decline, and I think we certainly need to identify ways in which we can continue to promote economic diversification. So I certainly look forward to being a part of this process. The possibilities are endless. If you haven't been to Fayetteville, haven't been to Lewisburg, those are neat communities, and those are the things I think we can develop as we look at our rural communities and see the potential that can be found in the beauty of our state. Thank you.
Senator Miller?
Thank you, Mr. President, and I appreciate Senator Green and Senator Kirkendoll as we start this initiative. I represent an area, along with Senator Laird, which is, in my opinion, the most beautiful part of West Virginia. That's the Greenbrier area, Fayette County, Monroe County, and Summers County. We have understood tourism, but we also have understood what's happening today. We in this state built this wonderful capital and the structures in this city on the backs of coal money that we took for granted. We always had it, we always took it, we assumed it would always be there. We've done the same thing with tourism. We assume that people are always going to come and ride our rivers, and they're always going to come and visit our beautiful Greenbrier Hotel. They're always going to take part in our beautiful mountains, and people are not coming as they used to come. We have to revitalize and redo what we're doing. One of the other initiatives that I've been working on already, and I look forward to working with this committee in this initiative, and the Agriculture and Rural Development Committee, we've already started looking at flat pieces of property in southern West Virginia. How do we take, when we've talked to the Department of Energy, how do we take those pieces of property and develop those into sustainable farmland? How do we turn those into agricultural pieces? How do we redevelop community in those places? So I'm excited to work with this committee at looking, how can we do that? How can we revitalize our communities in that way? I'm also a strong believer in the arts, and I'll just share this very quickly. I believe in southern West Virginia, in some of our communities, we have the potential to be art centers of the whole East Coast. And you may think, why that? Lewisburg already concentrates on the arts industry. Fayetteville concentrates on that. In Welch, in Senator Chafin's district, there's a fantastic artist down there that's been doing murals on the side of buildings that rival anything you can find in the world. In Hinton, we're starting to do those type of things. What greater way to bring folks into town than to come and look at those places and then visit our mountain arts and visit our labor history and visit those things that make up who we are. So I'm excited about the potential of what we can do as a committee and as a people. Look forward to where we can go, talking not just about coal, certainly about coal, but about the tourism industry that's vital to who we are in my part of the state. Look forward to that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Daniel, anything to add? Not with Senator Chafin. Anything further? Anybody else? Okay. Well, is any questions from any of the media and the press? All right. Okay, well, we'll be on tour in the next couple of months and keep you posted. Sure. I'll have Lynette do it.